Lee says, good morning, everyone. I got into digital marketing because I've always had a strong passion for helping others grow in any way I can. Recently, a few agency owners have advised to choose a specific niche, and while I understand the logic behind it, I'm struggling with the idea of limiting myself. I truly enjoy working with different types of business across various industries. My belief is that if I can deeply understand the core of digital marketing by identifying a client's problem, want, or need, and then providing the right digital solution, then why do I have to choose just one niche? Is it possible to remain versatile and still succeed, or does picking a niche truly make that much of a difference in the long run? Curious to hear from those of you with more experience. Is picking a niche really that important, or can you stay versatile and build something successful?
Brendan says, how do you get around the objection of people asking for previous results for the website and SEO? Rahul says, who's doing LinkedIn outreach? What are your results? Anything you are unhappy about? There we go, motherfuckers. I believe we are in the machine. And that means some cool shit's going down. Appreciate y'all motherfuckers who tune into these regularly. I know there's a lot of shit on the internet competing for your attention. I always appreciate when you guys dial in, listen, want to grow your agency. As long as you guys keep listening, I'll keep making this shit. Quick little announcement just before we get rocking and rolling. For those of you guys who are new here, my name's Frankie Fihn. I'm the greatest of all time! The man they call the man! Crazy motherfucker yelling at a cloud. Too much wrestling as a kid. Too much wrestling. I got a shit talk. Anyways, we're getting into this. As I mentioned, for those of you guys who are interested, the Wolfpack Mastermind has a shit ton of really amazing tools and people to help you grow that old agency faster. I just got a message yesterday from a dude who told me that he added $30,000 a month recurring revenue. They were already doing seven figures, but a year and a half ago, that was more than they made, period. And now they're adding more in a week than they used to add in their entire history of their business. Not saying those results are typical. I always say, like, I don't make anybody successful. We just help you do it better, faster, easier, with less mistakes. If you're interested in checking that out, give a brother a holla. That's all I got for you guys in that. As far as anything else, I just wanted to mention as we get going that Facebook is doing that thing where I don't see your messages until after, so I'll respond to comments at the end of this, baby. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Golden dad guns. Shenanigans today. Hey, by the way, on this first question, I just got to say, I appreciate you guys being patient because my man Fotis, he asked a great question. It was some travel days, and I had to take, and there was some bureaucracy, and I had to take a week off. And because of that, he's been waiting on this question for a while, a lot longer than most of you guys do. He says, got a question for the Q&A. If Lord Frankie thinks it's a good topic, of course. I want to review various companies' marketing, Facebook ads, landing pages, emails, etc., and turn it into content for my blog and video. Think 5 low-hanging fruit opportunities for XYZ company to get more customers type of angle. And I also want to promote the content using Dennis Yu's dollar per day method, targeting their zip code. Is this a tasteful idea, or will I look like a dick? I'm not going to badmouth their team members, and I'll even compliment the stuff they're doing. Should I do some other stuff, type of content to get on their radar, perhaps? The people I want to see the content are the leadership and marketing head honchos of mid and 8-9-figure health and wellness companies. May the force and paws be with you. I like that. May the paws be with you. All right. So my advice on that one is, in the general sense, you're in the right track. That is a good idea. Having said that, tread carefully. I'll give you an example of what I think is doing this incorrectly. And you kind of asked it a question where I think you're already on the right track, but I just want to kind of reaffirm for you in your case. So I get messages from people that go, especially on my YouTube channel, like I get cold pitched, 10 times a day, every day, just so you guys know. And a lot of the pitches are like, your shit sucks, your thumbnails are no good, and I could optimize your channel better, blah, blah, blah. And when they tend to like put down your stuff, your first immediate thought is, yeah, show me the YouTube channel you built, right? That is very, very different than, like you said, if you're complimentary, where it's like, You compliment them on the fact that they're in the game, they're trying, they're putting stuff out there. And then it's really about like, if you want to tweak it and take it to the next level, here's what I would do. So that's the first part of it, is I would tread carefully, because you don't want to like go, your shit, all your stuff sucks. And I'm not saying you would do that. I'm just saying people do that, because I'm a recipient of a lot of that stuff. And they go, your shit sucks, man. You fucking suck. And all your shit sucks. And I can make it better. Give me money. And it's like, yeah, fuck you. So it's way better to go, your shit's good. And I like what you're doing. But if you want to take it to the next level, these are some tweaks I would make. Now, having said that, I will tell you the top 5, top 10, top 101 things you can do. Even though they get a lot of likes and comments, engagements, they don't really get a lot of people to buy. So I see this, like, I follow recently some like side hustle videos, and like 101 fucking side hustles you can start for under $500 or whatever, right? Nobody does shit with any of those videos, just, you know, and nobody buys shit based on those videos. I shouldn't say nobody. They wouldn't be making them if they weren't getting something out of them. But for the most part, like, you're better off showing somebody one real legit opportunity and helping them take it to the next level than you are talking about 750 things that they can do. So that's my way of saying I would probably not even do 5. I would focus on 1 or 2 tweaks that would move the needle the most in whatever it is they're trying to do. Because even though you'll probably get less comments and less likes and less shares and all that stuff, you'll demonstrate your expertise in a deeper way where people actually want to pay you. And I always look at, like, I have shit that I post where I get, you know, 50, 100, sometimes several hundred comments and likes and stuff like that. And I'm like, would I rather have several hundred likes, or would I rather have 2 people buy it? And I'll tell you, I'd rather have 2 people buy it. Not that I don't appreciate you guys liking and comment. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, like, last I checked, I can't pay my mortgage or, you know, my car with likes and comments. I can't go to the bank and say, don't worry, you're getting paid this month in likes and comments, right? So that's why I say that. And so I would just focus on, like, the one single lowest hanging fruit that they could do, and ideally something that you help them implement, right? That's what you want to do. And then as far as promoting it with Dennis Yu style stuff, of course, I think that's the whole point of paid ads, is to amplify content that has worked organically. I know not everybody shares that opinion, but I think that's the smartest way of using it. So that's my way of saying, like, yes, what you're describing works. Just be very careful. Don't, like, badmouth them and talk shit about them like a lot of people do. Rather, focus on, like, here's what you're doing. You're doing some good stuff. I really like it. I like you. I like your product. And now, if you want to take it to the next level, here's how you do that. You know, this one little tweak right here, because this is the thing that makes the biggest difference. Your landing page, you know, whatever, your front end ad, whatever. Like, or maybe a small, narrow range of things that fit together. Like, if I was doing Facebook ads, I might show the ad, the landing page, and then, like, what I would do immediately after, right? Like, so, we have a list of recommended providers that you guys can feel free to steal and borrow. Having said that, I mean, ultimately, if you want to, like, really have the highest quality deliverable, I think in-house is always going to be the best long-term solution. Or finding a partner that you have vetted really, really, really hard. And by the way, most agencies in general, and like most marketers, they oversell shit, and that's why it's like, you know, they you know, like, just the conditions of the market, they feel like they have to, like, promise the moon kind of thing. And as a result of that, they're way over promising what they can actually do. And so you're going to find that the same thing is true in white labels. Like, it's just the reality is that most people have had shitty experiences with marketers, and white label providers are no different. I'm just putting a link there to you guys that says providers. There we go. I don't know if that worked. Looks like I broke the comment section. So I don't know. I put a link. I tried to put a link. If not, I'll put it on the replay after. But there should be a link to potential providers. But if you want to sell GBP and stuff like that long term, your best long term solution is going to be in house, to actually, like, learn how to do this shit and to learn how to do it well and learn how to communicate it to clients. We have some, you know, as mentioned, like, recommended partners and stuff. And people always ask me who's the best one. And, I have my personal preferences, but just so you guys know, there's pros and cons to everybody. Some of them are better at actually doing the technical parts of it. Some of them are better at communicating it. There's still humans involved, right? So it's like there's going to be pros and cons no matter what you do. Find somebody that works with you. And my simplest strategy, by the way, when I'm trying to find out which partners, I just hire a couple of them for different things, and I see who I like working with best, right? Seth Godin, really a relatively famous marketer, said, "How am I supposed to know how we work together until we work together?" Right? So, like to me, the way I bring in clients is the same way I also outsource: is coffee date, first date, marriage. So the first thing I'm trying to do is first date. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. I know that's probably not a perfect answer, but check out the recommended providers. That's the biggest shortcut I can give you on that. Lee says, "Good morning, everyone. I got into digital marketing because I've always had a strong passion for helping others grow in any way I can. Recently, a few agency owners have advised to choose a specific niche, and while I understand the logic behind it, I'm struggling with the idea of limiting myself. I truly enjoy working with different types of business across various industries. My belief is that if I can deeply understand the core of digital marketing by identifying a client's problem, want, or need, and then providing the right digital solution, then why do I have to choose just one niche? Is it possible to remain versatile and still succeed, or does picking a niche truly make that much of a difference in the long run? Curious to hear from those of you with more experience. Is picking a niche really that important, or can you stay versatile and build something successful?" All right. I got good news and bad news for all you motherfuckers out there who are generalists doing a lot of shit for everybody and feeling like I got to keep this thing as wide open as I can to help as many pieces as possible. So here's the good news part of it. The first question is, can you build a successful generalist agency? And the answer is yes, okay? So I have friends, they do 8 figures and got there the entire way, not like made it to 8 figures and then started generalizing. No, they got there the whole way being generalist, okay? Generalist agency, all right? But, and this is a big one, for every one successful generalist I know 20 successful specialist agencies. So count that. 5, 10, 15, 20, right? So yes, can you be successful over here? Of course, but your odds get a lot lower. And I'll tell you, there's a couple of reasons, okay? Reason number 1, and this is something that is an afterthought, is I had a mentor that said something to me very, very wise. It hit me like a ton of bricks when he said it. I got to hang out with a guy who's an 8-figure entrepreneur, and we were together for like 4 or 5 months in a row in South Carolina. And he was always golfing, and he was fishing, and he would go to the country club, and he'd eat at fancy restaurants, and he just always did cool shit. And I never saw him really work all that much, like barely, like 5 hours a week maybe. And I remember saying to him, I said, "Ken, like, how are you able to do all this, right? Like, you make all this fucking money, but I never see you working." And he said, "Well, buddy, basically, I like doing shit I can do it once and get paid for it again." And when I thought about it, I was like, I had a lot of shit that I was doing that was of the do once and get paid once variety. So when you're a generalist, everything you do is do once, get paid once. So can you be successful in that? Yeah. But man, why would you want to? It's my question. Why would you want to do all that shit? Why would you want to make your life that fucking miserable of the do once, get paid once variety? So what happens is when you decide to be a specialist, you make a decision that when you do once, you're going to get paid 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So let me contrast this for you. My first agency, we were a white label plastic surgery agency called Modern Workers, although the name didn't really matter because we didn't really have anything public facing. We were everybody else's company since we were a white label partner. And this was before white label was even a term. In 2007, I never heard the fucking term white label till almost a decade later. But we were a white label partner, so we got subcontracted. But basically, if anybody came to me with a working credit card and a problem and said, "Do you know how to do this?" If I reasonably thought I could, I said yes. So somebody would say, "Do you know how to edit videos?" Of course I do. "Do you know how to do pay-per-click ads?" Damn right. "You guys know how to make WordPress websites?" For sure. And what ended up happening is I didn't really think about it But most of the work was reinventing the wheel. So I would like try and like find cheap freelancers or watch a bunch of YouTube videos and self-teach myself. In our second agency, we decided we were only going to do Facebook ads for personal injury attorneys. And what happened is, when we would figure out an ad that worked for one lawyer, I would immediately like essentially give the same ad to all our other clients. You know, I had to sometimes change a picture and modify their brand colors and change a phone number. But once we had one working ad, everybody got the same winning ad. So I wasn't solving like 27 different problems. I was solving one problem and giving it to 27 different people. And so what it made is my scaling life got a lot easier. So that's the first reason to pick a niche, is because you want to scale that shit. If you want to, maybe you don't, but you're gonna have a real hard fucking time doing it, reinventing the wheel. Second reason, the amount of money you make as a generalist, nobody tells you this, but you get paid the least, right? I was often surprised to find out that you made 5 times as much money for the same exact thing when you were a specialist. So for example, when I sold websites in the early days, $500 to $1,000 for a website, I got pushback. People would be like, $500, that's a lot of money. And when I specialized, we charged $5,000 or $10,000 for a website and got no pushback, by the way. I shouldn't say we got no pushback, but it was rare. Most people are like, all right, how do we get started? And when I started talking to people, they believed that we were more likely to be able to get them a meaningful result with that website because we were a specialist. You know, you understand my niche, you understand my industry, you understand what I'm trying to do. So they were like, sometimes they'd be willing to pay 10 times as much money for the same exact fucking thing. So if you're selling websites like I was, would you rather do one $10,000 website, which is just as much work, as $1,000 website? You got to get 10 clients, right? So as a generalist, you're going to be often the lowest paid person because nobody believes you can get them a meaningful result, and you can't demonstrate results in case studies and things like that because you never have them because you're always reinventing the wheel. Third reason nobody thinks about, your messaging will suck, okay? Your messaging will suck because it has no teeth, no bite. That's how I bite my kids. Daddy monster's getting you. But if your messaging has no bite, then inevitably what you end up talking about is your thing. So I see this with these generalist websites. We do Facebook ads. We do SEO, email marketing, pay-per-click, web designs, your one-stop shop, come all. And you talk about the thing they care the least about, which is marketing and the services, pay-per-click, SEO. When you focus on a niche, you can focus on a problem or result. So here's an example, okay? Imagine you are in the United States and you need to hire somebody to help you with your accounting, okay? And this is the same company, okay? I want to be very clear, but with 2 different promises. So on one hand, the company is saying, we do monthly bookkeeping services for $1,000 a month. Okay. On the other hand, this person says, hey, if you do at least $250,000 a year, we figured out legally how to save you $50,000 a year in your taxes. And it's just $1,000 a month. Which one are you going to hire? The one who just gives you activity? Says, I'll do some shit for the sake of doing it? Or the one who says, I'm going to get something meaningful done and solve a problem for you, and in this case, the taxes. And it's clearly this one, right? Even though that's the same company. So you can't make any promises with any meaning when you're a generalist because you're trying to talk to too many issues at once. Ergo, you talk to no one. This is when I see ads that say, dear business owner, we can increase your profits with our all-in-one marketing solution. Right? That's what those ads sound like, and nobody cares. That's way different than like, hey, if you're an agency doing $250,000 a year, for $1,000 a month, I can save you $50,000 a year on your taxes legally and pay you an extra $36,000 or $38,000, whatever, this year, even after you pay our fees. Right? So we want to have messaging that has some teeth. That's the third reason not to be a generalist. Now, the fourth reason is, I hear this all the time, is when you're a generalist, you scratch your head and go, where do I go get clients? Hey, where do I get them clients at? I see this where people go, how do I find people that want to spend money on Google pay-per-click? Where do I find them? Right? And it's kind of like a really broad, unanswerable question. But imagine if we just get more specific, right? And I wrote about this in version 3.0 of Beyond the Agency Box. So say, for example, you say to me, I really want to work with golfers. Well, then I'm going to say, let's go down to the golf course because that's where all the golfers are. If you said, I really want to meet a nurse, I'd say, well, let's go to the hospital. That's where all the nurses hanging out. If you said to me, Frankie, I really want to be a stripper, I'm going to say, let's go to the strip club or the Coke dealer, right? We're going to go where the strippers hang out, right? So it's hard to like meaningfully position yourself in front of somebody if you don't really know who you're aiming for and is broad and inexact. And never mind that there's a ladder of clients, but those are like really many different reasons to not be a generalist. As I mentioned, there is a pay difference. You're making less fucking money per client, and ergo, it's harder to deliver a valuable, like meaningful service because you're always trying to find freelancers on a budget. So you get paid less. Reason number 2, your message, don't say shit to anybody. Reason number 3, how do you go where they go if you don't know who you're talking to? And reason number 4, you are reinventing the wheel, which is a giant, giant obstacle to scale. Like imagine you went to stay at a hotel and they had to bring in a new bed and hire new staff daily and set you up in a different location. And one day they're at this building, another day at their building. They're not going to scale that hotel very well. Processes scale, repeatable processes. And you ain't got that. So I'm not shitting on those of you guys who are generalists. You want to be a fucking generalist, be a generalist. I'm just telling you, yes, you make your life harder. And here's the thing that when people realize that, then they spend eternity choosing a niche, whatever you want to call it. And the truth is, like 98% of niches work. You just got to pick one so that you can go where they are, create messaging that's very specific and catered for them, and that your deliverable scales because it's repeatable. But it don't really fucking matter which one you pick. I say if you're already a generalist, just pick a client you like, clone them, and say, we're going to specialize in these people, and start hanging out where they already hang out. Start listening to their problems. Start creating a solution for them. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. Good question, Lee. Brendan says, how do you get around the objection of people asking for previous results for the website and SEO? There's a few ways to get around this. So one of those is use a white label partner and borrow their case studies. But I'm going to tell you something that you actually don't need case studies and results and testimonials like most people think. So I'm going to use a story that I use to beat this up. But there's a couple of different industries where people have very bad reputations and they assume the worst about you or that person, regardless of whether or not they're any good. So I'll give you a couple of those. One of those is us, marketers. As a general rule, people think marketers are full of shit, liars, scammers, cheaters, and thieves. That's the reputation you inherit by being part of this industry. Welcome to the game, by the way. That is not unique to us. Lawyers. Oh, you're a cocksucking, money-grubbing, piece of shit, lying attorney. Contractors. You're a drunk fucking redneck who never shows up on time and doesn't do what you say you do and is always asking for more money and you're just unreliable, right? So there's 3 industries, bad reputations, okay? I'm going to use an example from contractors to illustrate this point, okay? These are internet hands. Look, it means they type on a computer, they text on a phone. What they do not do is fix shit around the house. Don't even know how, just so you guys know. So that means anytime something like needs to be done, I have to call somebody. Now, the reason I tell you guys this is I want you to imagine for a second that I'm trying to get a deck built because I want to have some bitchin' backyard barbecues and I want to entertain my friends and do cool shit. Okay? So I call a contractor and say, I need you to get out here and give me a quote for building a deck. And let's say I talk to 2 of them. Okay? 2. And I'm in Mexico, so let's give them names. Let's give them Jose and Juan. Actually, those are too similar. Let's go with Jose and Fernando. Okay? Jose and Fernando. Okay? So Jose comes to me and says, he looks at it and he says it'll cost, let's say $2,000. Let's just pick a nice even number. It'll cost $2,000. And I say, can you tell me a little bit about it? And he says, yeah, it'll cost $2,000. Okay? Now, because I'm not really clear and sure, and I don't really trust him, and contractors have bad reputations, what I'm going to say is, you got case studies? You got clients I can talk to? You got references? Can you give me examples of people you work with? Okay? So when that happens to you, there is a tendency to think that the only way you can sell your shit is to have case studies and testimonials and references. And I'll give you guys an example of this with SEO and websites in a second. How I did this personally. Okay? So we're now at Fernando. And Fernando says, hey, Frankie, yeah, no problem. We can build that deck. I'm going to ballpark you probably right around 2,000. But just so you know, I'm going to measure this thing out right now, and I'm going to text my guy who's down at Home Depot, and he's going to get an exact quote on lumber. We usually get a little extra just to make sure, like 10% extra, and then we return anything we don't use. But we'd rather have too much than too little. And then basically, here's what the process of building a deck looks like. So the first thing is, if you give me the go-ahead on like the price on that, I'm going to build all the frame here, and you'll see like we've got the spot marked out where the frame will go, and we'll get the frame in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting in like the railings and like the structure pieces. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the floor part of it where you'll actually walk on. And then before we can all use all that, and it's all secured and fastened, then we have to sand it and stain it, and you won't be able to walk on it for like a day. But once it's fully dried, it'll be a brand new deck. You'll be able to use it. It usually takes about 2-3 days start to finish. So you won't be able to use that area of the house for like 2-3 days. If you want, I can have my guy get started on a quote. Is it cool if I go through and just text him to get started? Guess what I don't do? I don't ask for case studies. Because it's clear he knows what the fuck he's doing and he knows how to build it. And that is what I call a demonstration of plan. So the biggest reason you are getting asked for case studies and results and things like that you ain't got is because you have not shown up with a clear, tangible plan. And by the way, most people either say, give me the money and I'll figure out the plan, or the plan is like sort of vague and unspecific. Okay? So here's an example of a vague, unspecific one. Okay? We're going to optimize, improve, and engage and increase your rankings. Okay, that's an unspecific plan. So I'll tell you what I did, because one of the things in the 90-day challenge, for those of you guys not familiar with the 90-day challenge, is something I did, I don't know, like a year and a half ago. I basically got asked, if you were me, you're starting over, you want to get to 10K a month as fast as possible, what would you do? So I decided just to do it and document it. And one of the challenges I had in that is I have made 1,000 fucking websites, especially for myself. I'm one of those serial domain buyers. I'm sure some of you guys out there are like that. Can relate. Too many tabs open on your computer, too many domains. Y'all motherfuckers are buying. So here's what I did. Okay, I was trying to show people a website, and I could not show a single website that I had ever built in that industry. Kind of a fucking problem, right? We're selling websites. So when somebody would inquire and say, hey, can you build me a website? Here is what I would do. I went into my computer and I opened up like 6-7 different tabs, and I'd say, I'll give you a real example. The dude's name was also Brendan. And I said, hey, Brendan, let me show you exactly what I want to do for your website. You see how this website right here has like a picture of their team, and it says, we can be there faster than everyone else when it's leaking. I want to put something like that emphasizes speed, because the biggest reason people are going to call you in an emergency is they want you there fast. Then I'm going to put a list of your best social proof. So you got some awesome Google reviews. I'm going to put a little thing just like you see on this website right here. You see, I'm going to put something like that. Then what I'd like to do is list your 3 services. Then I know you get asked these questions all the time, like, do you carry my insurance carrier? So I'm going to put a list of the insurance carriers you get asked. Then right here, I'm going to put a map of your service areas, just like you see on this website. And by the way, in that process, I showed 6 or 7 different websites that weren't my own, but I showed them I have a demonstration of a real tangible plan. This is the fucking website we're going to build you. Next thing that I did, SEO. Again, I've done SEO lots, but I ain't got no SEO to show them of anybody else in their industry that's meaningful to them. So I started showing them the plan. I said, right here, title tag on your website. You see, it's optimized for your name. If they don't already know who you are, that don't fucking matter. They need to know you're the #1 top-rated water damage restoration company in all of Atlanta, Georgia, right? Here, your top competitor has 120 Google reviews. You've got 50. So we got to bridge the gap. We need 70. This is the campaign I want to run to start getting you some reviews. Here, look at your GBP. I'm opening it up. Look, you're optimized for the wrong category. You say you want this kind of job, but then I don't see any pictures of it, right? So we need to like have regular photos of it. We need to have regular updates for the kind of work we want. We got to look the best part. Here, I just pull up your backlink profile. Look at this. Hey, look at the actual content. Their website has 30 fucking pages. Yours doesn't have shit. You're like a little 5-page brochure, right? So we need to fix that. And if we fix all those things, which will take us like 3 to 6 months, but you can start getting some of those phone calls. Look here, on this specific keyword alone, it's 500 people a month are searching for that. That's probably like 10, 20 jobs a month just on that one keyword that you're losing right now because those things aren't fixed. So what they are looking for, my point of this, is a demonstration of a plan from you. And if you don't give them, if you don't demonstrate you got a plan and know how to do this shit, I'm going to optimize, improve, and engage. And it has to be like clear what's going to get done. Then they're going to say to you, case studies, proof, testimonials. And by the way, I personally went through 3 stages of this. So the first stage was people said, you got any of them case studies up there, Frankie Fihn? And I said, no, I don't. And then they said, okay, well, call me when you do. And they never called me. Then eventually I figured out how to sell without them. And then people said, you got any of them case studies? And I would give them to them thinking that it was like this magic bullet, like the shocker coming in, right? Magic bullet. We got them now. And you know what happened? They still didn't close because they weren't sold on the plan. And so sometimes they would try for weeks to sync up with your past clients and they still wouldn't move forward. Then we reach stage 3, where now we got 50, 100 case studies, results, testimonials, and people would say, you got any of them case studies? And I would say, yes, we do. And they'd say, can I talk to some of those people? And I'd say, no, you may not. And they would look at me kind of shocked. They'd say, why not? I say, it's been my experience that you end up just wasting my client's time. And that you call them and call them and call them, and it's a reason not to make a decision. And all you don't really care about how many other people I've done it for anyway. You just want to know if it's going to work for you. So why don't we go deeper on what I plan to do for you and what's possible for you? And if you like that, we can move forward on it. Or if you got questions, you can ask me. But if you want to say no, that's totally cool too. But it's been my experience that you're just gonna like use it as an excuse to getting weeks of phone calls chasing my past clients, which really only annoys them. So no, you may not talk to anyone. And they go, okay, you're right. I probably just need to make a decision one way or another. You're damn right you do. So anyways, that is the formula that has worked for us. And in doing so, when you present a plan, you're almost talking as if you're already working together. It's almost like they've already said yes to the money, and now they're going, what are we going to do? How do we deck? How do we build an SEO? How do we build a website? Well, let me tell you, the first thing is this, the second thing is that, the third thing is that. And the more you can demonstrate that, the more you will find sales close. And they don't go, y'all get any of them case studies, results, testimonials? They're not the magic bullet most people think they are. They're useful. So don't let me like tell you, oh, you you should never have case studies. But they're more useful as a content piece, as an ad, as a front door to bring people in. Once you get to the point where you're having a conversation with a prospect, very rarely is a turning point going to be a case study. I know it looks like I'm just chugging coffee and liquor in the morning, but it's just water here. I live in a desert, so water. Last question we got on the docket. I mentioned Facebook's doing that thing. I don't see your comments or questions, so I'll come back to these after. But Rahul says, who's doing LinkedIn outreach? What are your results? Anything you are unhappy about? Okay, a couple things I want to say on LinkedIn outreach. Firstly, Scott Kreese has a new book out for LinkedIn outreach. Highly encourage you guys to check it out. I'll tag him below this just because, so you guys can go find that and get the old breadcrumb trail. But let me tell you something here, okay? LinkedIn outreach ain't all that fucking different than outreach on any other platform. And I'll tell you why. Because people are people. And people obsess about little details because often it is easier to assume that the reason it's not working is the technology or the algorithm or the fucking platform than to look in the mirror and say, I just don't know my fucking audience that well. So I'll give you an example of this, okay? I'm in Google Ads communities. And when somebody launches a Google ad and it does not work, you know what the number one question people ask? What's your campaign setting? What's your budget? How much you spending? You know what nobody says? What the fuck are you saying in that ad? What are you actually offering people? Where are you sending to? What do they get for clicking it? Right? In other words, what I would call psychology. Right? Not technology, psychology. Go into a Facebook ad community. Somebody says, my ads are not working. Okay? People will go, what conversion setting are you used? How long has your pixel been aged? Are you scaling your winners? Did you only clone this? Did you only clone that? You know what nobody asks? What the fuck are you offering those people? What are you actually sending them? What are you doing? What are you giving them? If they give you money, what do they get in return? So when it comes to LinkedIn outreach, I'm going to tell you it is the same damn fucking shit. People obsess about how many prospects a day are you adding, and are you using the in-mail or the not in-mail? Are you inviting them to a book call or not? And here's my thing, okay? Are you using a paws or D7 lead scraper? It is very rarely those things. And it is almost always because you have not mastered the specific psychology of the person on the other side. And I want you to think about this way, okay? Back in the day, there used to be this dude named Ed McMahon. Some of you guys who are older will remember Ed McMahon. He was famous from a show called Star Search, but he also had this thing called Publishers Clearinghouse. And back in the day, Publishers Clearinghouse used to give away like $1 million or $10 million checks, and they were like the big checks, you know, like the one you got to hold. And I want you to imagine, like metaphorical outreach, that Ed McMahon knocks on your door and he's standing outside with balloons and cameras and a microphone, and he's here to say, hey, Frankie, or whoever you are watching this, you just won $10 million. Woohoo! Okay? And what I want you to imagine is that the person sees Ed McMahon outside and don't answer the door. Knock, knock, knock. I got $10 million. What do you think Ed McMahon would do if somebody didn't answer the door and he's got a $10 million check? I just know if it was me personally. Boom! Boom! Answer the fucking door, motherfucker! I got a $10 million check with your name on it and some fucking balloons. And some cameras here to film this shit. Right? That's my way of saying that, like, if you have something really, really, really valuable for that other person, you're going to approach that very differently than most people do. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be a douche to people. But a lot of what people do with LinkedIn is the same as they do with anything else. Send some generic copy and paste spam and then try and automate it and send generic copy and paste spam. By the way, I'm not against automation. Here's what I'm against. Automating shit that's not working. So, like, to me, you have to figure out how to send one message successfully before you scale it to 600. Ain't that some shit? People want to send, like, 60,000 messages when they haven't gotten one working. But let's automate it. So if you want to make LinkedIn work, I've had a simple formula, and I go deeper on it for those of you guys who've checked out our course, the Opening with Anyone. It's a very simple formula. Is I personalize, I say something meaningful about you, and then I have what I call like the Costco free sample. It's like, can I give you a free sample? And by the way, this is counterintuitive because most people think when you're messaging strangers, which by the way, I think is the least efficient way of doing it, but I keep answering the question because you guys keep asking. But the goal is not to go from I just met you to buy my shit in a single message. If you try and do that, by the way, you're going to find outreach in general very hard. If you realize that it is a multi-step sequence and all you're trying to do is to get them to raise their hand and say, I'm interested, tell me more about that, then you're just giving away the Costco free sample in the outreach. Hey, something personal about you. Would you like a Costco free sample? That's really all outreach is. And then what happens is then you get into the next steps of like a demonstratable plan. And then you get into the next steps of, would you be interested in getting my help to build that plan for you? And that's basically the flow of it, by the way, is a personalization, talk about them. Would you like a Costco free sample? Sure. Hey, that's pretty good. hey, I had that free sample's part of a bigger plan I had for you. Can I tell you what I had in mind for you? And you give them the entire plan. This is how I would build a deck for you. Would you be interested in getting my help to build that deck? I have some details for you, and that's where we would use, personally, in our world, Loom videos. But that's basically it, is like, if you want to make LinkedIn or any platform work, talk to the person on the other side. Give them a free sample that naturally leads into what you're doing. And a free sample is a small piece of the real thing, right? If any of you guys shop at Costco, if Costco wants to sell you 20 boxes of pizza, this is what they do. They take a pizza out of one of the boxes, they put it in the oven, they bake it all warm and crunchy and smelly and delicious, and you can smell the cheese melting from, down the aisle. And then they cut it up into little pieces this big, and they stick a toothpick in it, and they go, would you like to try one? And a lot of times, when you try that one little one, you go, out of curiosity, what would it cost me to get 20 boxes? And all of a sudden, before you know it, you're buying 20 boxes of pizza, and you came in there with no intention of buying 20 boxes of pizza. If they had just said to you, would you like to buy 20 boxes of pizza, quality, amazing, best ever, you'd never do it. But if they hit you with the Costco free sample, and then you go, hey, that's actually pretty good. So your best thing, and the reason I say that is because the big thing they're selling and the free sample are the same thing. It's really just like a size differential. So like you're giving them a little free sample of something that can help them, but you're doing it strategically because you want to sell a giant big box of pizza. So if you understand that, you can make LinkedIn work. The other piece of it that trips people up on all these platforms is they indiscriminately think my target market is everyone or everyone within my niche. I work with dentists, ergo I'm just trying to reach any dentist. And I mentioned this before, but it doesn't matter the industry. There's an 80-20, meaning like, so if I work with attorneys, as I have in the past, or plastic surgeons, let's use plastic surgeons. If I get 100 plastic surgeons in a room, 80 of them, the majority of them, will not spend very much money on marketing. That is with or without you, by the way. Right? Only about 20 of those guys actually spend most of the money. And there's an 80-20 within that, where one guy probably outspends the entire room combined on advertising. And so there's a tendency to think, oh, my niche is plastic surgeons, I want anybody. But in actuality, you're only talking to the 20 who actually spend money. And ideally, the 1 or 2 who spend a lot of money are actually the ones who make for the best clients. And so the other thing that trips people up is they message people who would never buy in the first place because they're just not buyers of marketing services. And here's an example that I've used to kind of illustrate this. Imagine, for example, I hire you and I sell barbecue pork ribs, and I hire you and I say, why don't you go sell some ribs? And then I buy you a plane ticket and I send you to the Jewish Vegetarian Conference. And I say, go sell some pork ribs. Okay? These are Jewish vegetarians. So they don't eat meat, and they especially don't eat pork. What are you going to say to sell those people? And the answer is nothing. I don't care how strong your messaging is. I don't care how good your offer is. I don't care what the fuck you say. You're not going to sell anything because those are not buyers. Okay? Flip side of that. I give you the ribs. I send you a plane ticket. I say, you got to stand at the Alabama football game. You're going to be in the main section selling ribs. Fuck. Just from smelling it, you're going to sell it. They're going to be like, I smell me some ribs. Mm-hmm. Right? You're going to sell some ribs without even trying. Okay? So the reason I say that is because there is a tendency to think about your market as if they're all equal. And if you want to make LinkedIn or any platform work, really hyper-focus on the people who spend money. Example of this. Back in the day, there used to be a lot more like door-to-door sales. It was a more common thing. And one of the things that was sold door-to-door was vacuum cleaners. So my ex used to have bad asthma and she had long carpets. And so she invested in all of the like latest and greatest vacuum cleaners. So whatever the most high-end ones. I remember she had a Dyson, like a $3,000 super sucker vacuum. And she had like 7 of them, right? If you had to sell a vacuum cleaner and knock on a door, my question is, imagine you just knocked on every door indiscriminately. Would you rather get a list of people who already own 7 vacuum cleaners and have long shag carpets, right? So if you could get that list of people who have like long shag carpets and already own 7 vacuum cleaners, you're going to sell way more vacuums. So imagine 2 guys door to door selling vacuum cleaners like they used to do. They're walking on opposite sides of the street. One guy indiscriminately knocks on every door and just gets rejected door after door. Another guy starts with a list of people who have a proven history of buying lots of vacuum cleaners. And he skips 80% of the houses on the block. Only goes to hey, I know at 197 they already own 8 vacuum cleaners. At the end of that shift, who do you think's going to, at 5 or 10 hours of selling door to door, who do you think's going to have sold more vacuums? It's going to always be the person who has the targeted, focused list. And so people think of that as an afterthought. Just any dentist, any doctor, any attorney, any whatever. And the truth is, the vast majority of them, with or without you, will not spend money. So you want to hyper focus on the ones that do. And if you do that, if you hyper-focus on the ones who spend money and you talk specifically to them and no one else, what I would call personalization, and you start the conversation with a free sample, you're going to find that doors consistently open on LinkedIn or any other platform. So I hope that's helpful, my dude, because when you crack that, LinkedIn's a really useful tool. Anyways, that's all we got for questions. As I mentioned, Facebook's doing that thing where I don't see your comments. Just a big shout out. For those of you guys who are interested in taking it to the next level, our Wolfpack Mastermind is so full of fucking tools and resources to make your life easier, faster, better. Hiring team, system, getting clients, ads you can swipe, outreach messages you can use, even have tools to buy, sell, and create those things for you. So, yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys because if you guys are interested in that, I've worked on making it the most affordable it's ever been. Historically, I've never lowered prices on anything. This is the first year I ever did a substantial lowering of prices, and that's because we built more tools to help people. And I want to help more people. So if you guys are interested in getting more help, finding out more deets, give a brother a holler. And that's all I got for you guys in this video. I hope you guys have a happy Monday with the shocker. And that's all I got for you guys. And may the force be with you. Buy my book, or I will show up in your dreams and read all of the terms and conditions for all that software you signed up in a quiet, whispery voice for hours and hours.